to the first Star Trek pilot. A pilot being a film that is meant to demonstrate to a network what a new series will look like each week.
Something happened to her.
Don't you feel all right?
No, I don't feel all right. None of us feel all right.
Not every Star Trek episode boldly exploring the cosmos has been embraced. Some stories crossed lines that networks and societies weren't ready for, sparking outrage or outright bans in certain countries. From shocking violence to taboo relationships, these episodes challenged viewers in ways still remembered decades later. In this video, we're diving into 3 Star Trek episodes that remain banned today, and once you see what they showed, it's clear why they caused such strong reactions. Number 3. Miri. The Enterprise receives a distress signal from a planet that seems like a perfect mirror of Earth, an eerie, empty world frozen in time. Captain Kirk, Spock, McCoy, Janice Rand, and 2 security officers beam down, expecting a routine investigation, only to stumble into a nightmare. They discover a deserted town, silent except for a single disfigured man who collapses and dies in front of them. Soon, they meet Miri, a frightened girl who calls them grups, her word for adults. Miri reveals a shocking truth. A mysterious plague wiped out the adults, leaving only the onlys, children who have survived but are slowly succumbing to the same disease. The crew quickly notices purple spots appearing on their own skin, signaling that the infection has begun. As they search for a cure, they uncover the chilling origin, a life extension experiment gone wrong. Even more disturbing, these children are technically hundreds of years old, aging just a month per century, yet trapped in bodies and minds of young kids. Chaos erupts when jealousy and fear divide the children, culminating in a violent mob threatening Kirk and Rand. It takes quick thinking, compassion, and a reminder of responsibility to restore order. McCoy finally tests his vaccine, saving everyone. The episode aired once on the BBC in 1970, drawing complaints for its unsettling portrayal of violence, disease, and warped innocence. And if you thought that shock was extreme, wait until you see the next episode, one that made television history in ways no one expected. Number 2. Plato's Stepchildren. One of Star Trek's most iconic episodes isn't remembered for battles or aliens, but for a single, daring act, the first interracial kiss on American television. In Plato's Stepchildren, Kirk and Uhura are held captive by a society obsessed with power and control. Under the alien ruler's manipulation, the two are forced together in a moment that shocked some viewers while inspiring many others. Despite the bold scene, the BBC refused to air the episode, labeling it too harsh and controversial. Yet, beneath the controversy lies tension, control, and the subtle cruelty of those who wield power over others. The darkness escalates further in a story that pushes both psychological and moral boundaries, the kind of intensity that makes Star Trek fearless. This sets the stage for an even darker journey in the next episode. Number 1. Whom Gods Destroy. Not all Star Trek adventures are about exploring strange worlds. Some venture into the darkest corners of the mind. Whom Gods Destroy throws the Enterprise crew into a high-security psychiatric facility where the most dangerous criminals are already in control. At the heart of this nightmare is Garth of Izar, a former Starfleet hero turned unhinged tyrant. Gifted with a frightening ability to shapeshift and manipulate reality, Garth toys with Kirk and Spock, testing their logic, courage, and loyalty. The episode is a tense mix of psychological terror, sudden violence, and moral ambiguity. Garth's cruel experiments and the chaos he sows make the audience question who is truly sane. One shocking act of murder underscores just how far the story pushes television limits for its time, leaving viewers uneasy even decades later. The BBC felt the episode's intensity was too extreme for young audiences, adding it to the list of Star Trek stories deemed too controversial. Episodes like this weren't just entertainment, they were bold statements about human behavior, fear, and morality. And this fearless storytelling set the stage for the franchise's larger cultural impact, influencing everything from fan devotion to future series, movies, and even real-world science and technology. Star Trek's Fearless Frontier, how it changed TV forever. To truly understand why some Star Trek episodes were pulled from airwaves or faced bans, we need to step back and see the daring universe that Gene Roddenberry created. The original series, which premiered in 1966, wasn't just another sci-fi show, it was a statement. Roddenberry envisioned a future where humans worked side by side with different races and cultures, exploring the unknown while wrestling with ethical dilemmas, societal conflicts, and moral grey areas. Adventure and imagination were the surface, but beneath it, every story asked bigger questions about humanity. The USS Enterprise wasn't just a spaceship, it was a symbol of hope. The crew represented the best of what humanity could aspire to be: cooperative, compassionate, and fearless in the face of uncertainty. This bold vision extended beyond mere storytelling. Star Trek's influence seeped into technology, inspiring early mobile devices, medical tools, and even space exploration concepts. Its fan base, the Trekkies and Trekkers, didn't just watch, they built conventions, created fan works, and helped make Star Trek a living, breathing cultural movement. Roddenberry's willingness to challenge norms is what set the stage for controversy. Episodes explored themes of violence, psychological torment, and taboo relationships, topics that made networks nervous and regulators hesitant. Yet, it was this very audacity that cemented Star Trek's legendary status. The show didn't shy away from uncomfortable truths, instead daring viewers to reflect on ethics, society, and human potential. From multiracial casts to stories of empathy, morality, and existential challenges, the franchise established itself as a fearless pioneer. Its creative ambition allowed writers to explore ideas that were decades ahead of their time, leaving a lasting mark on both science fiction and real-world culture. Understanding the bold foundation of Star Trek's universe reveals why its stories could provoke strong reactions, and why some episodes were considered too intense or unsettling to air freely. With this context, we can now dive into how these big ideas first took shape behind the scenes, shaping not only the series, but also the minds of those who dared to dream along with it. How Star Trek turned stories into lessons. Long before Star Trek lit up television screens, Gene Roddenberry was already crafting a vision that would challenge norms and inspire generations. In the early 1960s, he pitched his concept as a wagon train to the stars, a familiar Western-style adventure set in space. But beneath that accessible framing lay a daring mission to use science fiction as a mirror for humanity, showing both our flaws and our potential. Roddenberry imagined each episode operating on two levels, a thrilling story above and a deeper moral lesson underneath. The core of Star Trek's universe wasn't just exploring strange new worlds, it was exploring the human condition. Starfleet wasn't a simple military force, it was a peacekeeping, humanitarian organization where humans and aliens worked together, learning from one another while facing difficult ethical dilemmas. Conflict wasn't just external, it often emerged from moral choices, forcing the crew to question what it meant to do the right thing when the path wasn't clear. Roddenberry drew inspiration from the changing world around him. The 1960s were a time of social upheaval, civil rights movements, and global tension, and Star Trek reflected those currents through its futuristic lens. Aliens, planets, and technology became allegories for real-world challenges, from racism and war to equality and cooperation. Vulcans, with their commitment to logic over violence, and the United Federation of Planets, a hopeful vision of international collaboration, exemplified this philosophy. Even though executives often hesitated at controversial topics, Roddenberry's insistence on inclusion, diversity, and progressive ideals shaped a show that was far more than entertainment. Every alien encounter, every moral dilemma, every bold story carried a lesson about who we could be and who we should strive to become. By understanding this foundation, it becomes clear how Star Trek grew into more than just a TV show. Its influence reached culture, technology, and even history itself, inspiring countless innovations and shaping generations of viewers. Star Trek's legacy beyond the screen. Star Trek isn't just a television show. It's a phenomenon that has reshaped culture, technology, and even history. From its inception, Gene Roddenberry's vision was more than space adventure. It was a blueprint for possibility, pitching it as a wagon train to the stars or Horatio Hornblower in space. He embedded a deeper purpose, storytelling that inspires, challenges, and provokes curiosity about who we are and what we can become. That opening line, "to boldly go where no man has gone before," wasn't just poetic. It became a symbol of human ambition and imagination. Across the globe, Star Trek found a devoted audience. Fans, known as Trekkies or Trekkers, transformed viewing into community. They held conventions, created fan productions, and celebrated every detail of Roddenberry's universe. Its influence on pop culture is profound. Costumes, languages, and characters became iconic. The Klingon language, once fiction, is now studied and spoken by enthusiasts worldwide. Star Trek's ability to weave morality, ethics, and social issues into science fiction elevated it beyond mere entertainment, setting a new standard for thoughtful storytelling. Technology itself owes a nod to the Enterprise. Early mobile devices, inspired by Star Trek communicators, paved the way for modern cell phones. Tricorder concepts influenced medical diagnostics, and the idea of teleportation captured imaginations, inspiring research in physics and nanotechnology. NASA even named its prototype Space Shuttle Enterprise, following a fan-driven campaign, turning fiction into real-world achievement. Representation on Star Trek was revolutionary. The original series showcased a multiracial, multicultural crew at a time when such visibility was rare. Lieutenant Uhura's role as a black female officer, alongside Captain Kirk, pushed boundaries on television, breaking racial barriers and inspiring future generations. Nichelle Nichols famously worked with NASA to recruit diverse astronauts, linking the show's progressive ideals directly to real-world advancements in science and exploration. Beyond culture and tech, Star Trek influenced language, politics, and even health. Operation Warp Speed, the US initiative for rapid vaccine development during the COVID-19 pandemic, drew inspiration from the franchise's optimistic, solution-driven ethos. Across decades, Star Trek proved that entertainment could shape reality, encouraging curiosity, courage, and innovation. Understanding this impact makes it clear why certain episodes caused such strong reactions. A franchise this fearless didn't shy away from pushing boundaries, sometimes shocking viewers, challenging social norms, or venturing into disturbing territory. And as we explore the episodes the BBC and other networks chose to ban, we see how Star Trek's bold vision extended not just to technology and society, but to the very stories it dared to tell. Psychological horror aboard the Enterprise. Some of the most haunting Star Trek episodes don't rely on lasers, space battles, or alien invasions. They get under your skin in ways you can't forget. The Empath, a Season 3 story, is a chilling example. The Enterprise crew arrives on a dying planet, only to encounter mysterious beings who subject them to cruel, torturous experiments. What makes the episode so unnerving isn't the gore, it's the psychological torment, the ethical dilemmas, and the mental strain the crew must endure. Viewers are left imagining the suffering in vivid detail, creating a tension that lingers long after the screen goes dark. The planet's enigmatic inhabitants test the crew in ways that question morality, empathy, and the limits of self-sacrifice. Every action, every decision carries high stakes, forcing the audience to confront what they would do in similar circumstances. The subtle implied horror makes it far more unsettling than overt violence, as the mind fills in the blanks with possibilities too disturbing to watch directly. Because of its intensity, the BBC kept The Empath off the air for decades, only airing it in 1994, almost 30 years after its original release. American fans, however, praised the episode for its depth, tension, and the daring way it explored suffering and human resilience. This episode shows that Star Trek wasn't afraid to dive into the darkest corners of the mind, and while The Empath terrified through emotion and implication, the series would soon shock audiences with something far more visceral, a horror that's physical, immediate, and impossible to ignore. Conspiracy, a deadly secret. Star Trek: The Next Generation didn't shy away from moral dilemmas, but the Season 1 episode Conspiracy took things to a shocking, visceral level. What begins as a routine investigation quickly spirals into body horror territory, unsettling even the most devoted fans. Lieutenant Commander Remick becomes the unsuspecting host for a parasitic alien entity, and the consequences are immediate, gruesome, and unforgettable. In one unforgettable scene, a phaser blast literally causes his head to explode, followed by the alien's grotesque emergence from his chest. Practical effects, fake blood, and intense choreography created a horror sequence unlike anything previously seen on mainstream sci-fi. The episode pushed boundaries, blending suspense, action, and terror in a way that made it clear Star Trek could go far darker than its optimistic veneer suggested. NBC reacted by moving the episode to a late 10 p.m. slot, while Canadian broadcasts issued warnings. The BBC went further, refusing to air the episode entirely due to its disturbing content. Conspiracy proved that Star Trek could be both intellectually stimulating and viscerally terrifying, forcing audiences to confront betrayal, invasion, and the fragility of the human body. Yet, while this story scared viewers with alien horrors, the franchise also pushed societal boundaries in another way, through forbidden love. Its next controversial tale would challenge audiences with emotion and representation, showing that Star Trek's fearlessness wasn't limited to the physical or horrific. Rejoined forbidden bonds. Not all Star Trek controversies came from violence or horror. Sometimes the most daring challenges were emotional and social. Rejoined, a Deep Space Nine episode, faced significant resistance in certain regions due to its groundbreaking portrayal of love. The story follows Jadzia Dax, a Trill whose symbiont had previously lived in another host, reuniting with the widow of that host. Their connection, considered taboo in Trill culture, is tender, complex, and deeply human. But it included a kiss that, at the time, shocked many traditional viewers. Some networks in the southern United States demanded the kiss be cut to avoid controversy, reflecting broader societal discomfort with LGBTQ+ representation on mainstream television. Yet the episode itself treated the romance thoughtfully, exploring themes of loyalty, identity, and the timeless struggle between societal expectations and personal desire. Critics and fans alike praised the story for its emotional depth, its boldness, and its courage in addressing a topic that had rarely been touched on primetime sci-fi. What makes Rejoined so compelling is how it balances risk with storytelling. It doesn't sensationalize the relationship, but allows audiences to connect with the characters' emotions and ethical dilemmas. This episode reminds viewers that Star Trek's fearlessness extended beyond monsters, mind control, or alien threats. It also confronted human prejudices, reflecting real-world social evolution. While Rejoined challenged cultural norms, some episodes pushed physical danger and brutal action to new extremes. That's exactly what happened in the next story, where combat, death, and survival collide in ways that even Starfleet's bravest had to navigate carefully. To the death, battles, and boundaries. Star Trek didn't just challenge social norms, it also pushed the limits of on-screen intensity. To the Death, a Deep Space Nine episode, exemplifies this. The story follows Sisko and his crew forming a tense alliance with the fierce Jem'Hadar to navigate deadly caves toward an Iconian gateway. What starts as strategic cooperation quickly escalates into relentless, hand-to-hand combat. Originally, the sequence showed the full toll of battle. Dozens of Jem'Hadar and Starfleet personnel fell during the confrontation. Network standards, however, balked at the sheer brutality. 45 seconds of intense combat were cut before the episode could air, reducing the number of visible deaths and toning down the violence. The edits changed the pacing, making the fight feel abrupt, yet the tension never fully disappeared. In the UK, stricter standards forced even more reductions for early evening broadcasts, leaving viewers with a slightly disjointed but still gripping sequence. Despite the censorship, the episode became a standout example of how Star Trek could portray realistic stakes without losing its moral and strategic storytelling. It wasn't just action for spectacle. It explored leadership under pressure, the cost of conflict, and the thin line between survival and sacrifice. While physical battles tested Starfleet's limits, Star Trek also earned recognition for its imaginative storytelling, technical achievements, and cultural impact. Awards and accolades would later solidify the franchise as more than a daring show. It became a lasting legacy in television, film, and beyond. Star Trek's awards and lasting impact. Star Trek's influence stretches far beyond its episodes. It's a franchise celebrated for creativity, innovation, and cultural significance. From the earliest days, it earned critical acclaim, starting with the Hugo Awards. In 1967, 3 of the 5 Best Dramatic Presentation nominees were Star Trek episodes, and in 1968, all 5 came from the original series. These wins cemented its reputation as a visionary science fiction universe that combined thrilling adventure with thought-provoking ideas. The Next Generation continued this legacy, winning Hugos in 1993 and 1995, proving that Star Trek's exploration of morality, society, and human potential remained as impactful as ever. Its influence wasn't limited to television. Films like Star Trek IV, The Voyage Home, achieved blockbuster success while earning nominations for acting, cinematography, and sound, blending popular appeal with technical artistry. Even fan productions received recognition, showing that the community surrounding the franchise has become a creative force in its own right. Beyond awards, Star Trek has broken records. Guinness World Records recognizes it as the most successful science fiction franchise globally, reflecting decades of popularity, innovation, and cultural resonance. In 2024, the franchise received the Peabody Institutional Award, honoring its extraordinary contributions to media, storytelling, and society. Through banned episodes, groundbreaking moments, and bold storytelling, Star Trek has continually challenged audiences and pushed boundaries. Its legacy is not just in space adventures, it's in shaping ideas, inspiring generations, and showing that science fiction can reflect the best and worst of humanity. The franchise remains a testament to imagination, progress, and courage, leaving fans dreaming of new worlds while reminding us that some stories were simply ahead of their time. These banned Star Trek episodes reveal just how daring the franchise was. Thanks for watching. If you loved this deep dive, like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more hidden Star Trek stories.